Few days later, Kim's funeral was finally held. Close family members and friends gathered at the church to pay their last respects to Kim, whose life had ended so suddenly and unfairly. Despite the wrongs she had done, she had not deserved such a cruel and lonely death. Minsu and Sunjin sat side by side in the pews, their fingers intertwined as they stared at the simple coffin laid before them. Minsu's thoughts drifted to the good memories they had once shared. Moments of laughter and secrets whispered between friends. Even though their friendship had ended on a bitter note, Minsu still considered Kim someone who had played an important part in her life, a chapter that had shaped her in ways she couldn't deny. Beside her, Sunjin squeezed her hand gently, reminding her without words that it was all right to grieve, that Kim was finally at peace, far from all the pain and betrayal that had haunted her final days. At the front, Wubin sat quietly with Dr. Anna, who had accompanied him to the funeral. His mind replayed memories of Kim, how she had been changing for the better, ready to start anew and become the person she was always meant to be before fate had so cruelly cut her life short. They had once been enemies, yet somehow they had become friends in the end. He glanced at Kim's father sitting with his brother a few seats away, and the heartbreak on the old man's face was plain to see. Justice had been served for Kim, but it could not bring her back. She was gone forever, home for good, but not in the way any father would wish. When it was time, Kim's father rose and slowly made his way to the pulpit near his daughter's coffin. He stood there for a moment, looking down at the simple box that now held all that remained of his little girl, silent and cold. He spoke with a trembling voice, confessing that his greatest regret was failing to be the father she had needed. He had chosen to stand by the very people who betrayed her, blind to her pain, blind to the love she had craved from him. He admitted that he would carry that regret and guilt for the rest of his life, a burden he would never truly move on from. Overwhelmed, he lifted his hands to cover his face as tears broke through, sorrow and regret crashing over him like a tidal wave. His brother, seeing him unravel, quickly stepped forward, taking his hand and guiding him gently back to his seat. Wubin then stood, stepping forward to share his own tribute. He spoke of knowing Kim since they were children, though they had never been close. If anything, they had been enemies for most of their lives. He let out a soft laugh at the memory, then explained how, against all odds, they had begun to find common ground in the end. He spoke of how he had seen something in her that few others did, a light buried beneath all the pain and mistakes, a light he had tried so hard to help her find again. He was grateful that she had found it at last, even if only briefly before her life was stolen away. He said he would always treasure the memory of being the last person to see her smile, to see the peace return to her face, if only for a moment. He glanced at the coffin, silently wishing her peace in paradise, certain she was now in a place far kinder than the world she had left behind. She would be missed, deeply, truly missed. At the graveyard, mourners gathered in a tight circle as Kim's coffin was slowly lowered into the earth beside her mother's grave. The finality of it settled heavily in the air. Sunjin held Minsu's hand tightly, anchoring her as silent tears filled her eyes. Wubin stood at the edge of the grave, his face calm but his eyes betraying the storm within. Beside him, Dr. Anna stood quietly, her gaze softening when she looked at him. She could see the pain he tried to hide behind a composed mask, so she slipped her hand into his and held it tightly, a silent promise that he was not alone. Wubin turned to look at her, forcing a small, grateful smile. But a few feet away, Yuna stood watching them, her heart sinking at the sight of their clasped hands. Once, it would have been her by his side in moments like this, comforting him, holding his hand through the darkness. Now they seemed like strangers, miles apart, even when standing so close. Wubin's gaze shifted beyond the mourners to the line of cars parked at the edge of the graveyard. In one of the cars, he noticed someone sitting behind the half-open window, staring out at him intently. He squinted slightly, his chest tightening. The face was hidden in shadow, but something about the figure felt familiar. He couldn't quite place it. Yet a strange chill settled in his gut. Even on this day, some secret seemed determined to linger in the shadows, refusing to stay buried with the dead.